In the meantime, there are unconfirmed reports that the Nigeria Labour Congress has taken action against workers who failed to join the national warning strike against fuel subsidy removal. In a video shared on the internet, they were seen chasing and beating workers with sticks for going to work in Ondo State. The Commission had announced a two-day warning strike that began today and will end tomorrow, Wednesday. Well, joining us on the news to discuss this further is Comrade Hassan Taiwo Soweto, is the National Coordinator, Education Rights Campaign. Hassan joins us from Ibadan in Oyo State, Southwest Nigeria. Hassan, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, as you heard, there were reports of non-compliance with the NLC strike order in some states, while some were defiant. Now, what is it like in your part of the country? Was there partial compliance or full compliance with this strike? And what is your take on all that has happened so far as regards the strike?
Well, where I am in Ibadan, where I'm speaking from, I could say that there was substantial compliance by members of the labor unions. And I think that what also assisted that is because of the ongoing campaign of the workers in the state over localized issues of salaries and other emoluments. That meant that it was easier for the workers to comply with the directive. But in Lagos State also, the report that I've got is that there was equally substantial compliance. And it seems that the major trend is actually substantial compliance in many parts of the country. But obviously, it's not everywhere that you have such level of compliance. But it is just the first day today. So we expect that the compliance would improve from tomorrow. And that is also because the issues around which this warning strike has been called, they are issues that are germane to the well-being and livelihood of not just members of the labor unions, but also, the generality of poor Nigerians, of young people who have been finding it hard to survive over the past few months because of the removal of fuel subsidy and other anti-poor policies of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu government.
Interesting. Let's look at the fact that the Trade Union Congress, the second, not in any order, but the second largest or the second organized labor group in the country, they didn't participate in the strike. They withdrew from it and instead went ahead to have a meeting with the Nigerian Minister of Labor and Employment yesterday. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's shameful that the Trade Union Congress had to break ranks over a matter that they have been coordinating together with the NLC over the past few months. I think it's shameful, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, a betrayal of the solidarity that ought to exist, within the labor movement in Nigeria. And when you look at the facts speak for itself, and it is the fact that the current government has not really been engaging labor positively. If you remember, when the fuel subsidy removal was announced on May 29, the NLC tried to call a strike for June, something which they had to retreat from after there was some consultations done. Afterwards, they entered into negotiation with the government, and according to the report, the government failed to actually, discuss with the unions as appropriate. They were dragging feet, and they were not moving the needles on any of the key demands that the trade unions were making. And that was what made, the trade unions, both the NLC and the TUC, to declare the protest that we had on August 2nd. And after August 2nd, there has been no concrete progress made since then, except the 5 billion per state palliative that the government announced, something which is inadequate and something which does not address the specific demands that the labor unions are making. The labor unions are saying that first and foremost, subsidy removal, has caused hardship, and on that basis, the minimum wage must be reviewed in order for workers to be able to earn enough, to be able to survive. They are equally making other key demands, none of which have been concretely addressed, and that is why this warning strike has been called. And this warning strike will be followed within the next 14 or 21 days by an indefinite general strike if the government persists to continue to dilly-dally and drag its feet. I would like to publicly call on the leadership of Trade Union Congress to find a way, to unite back with the NLC. We need the unity of the labor movement at this critical point.
All right. In your assessment, would you say the industrial action so far has been a success around the country?
It has not. There is a lot of areas of improvement that is required, but then it is something that has started off. We say better late than never. My organization has been calling for a general strike by labor movement over this issue, for a long period of time now, and we are very happy that the NLC, has agreed to that with what has started today. We would like to help them, to improve on all of the areas, where they have not done enough. One, mobilization was not very good. They need to do more of that. Apart from members of the unions, many people, oppressed Nigerians who would have supported this strike, were not even aware that there was going to be a strike. So labor needs to do enough in terms of publicizing its activities. And most importantly, on the areas of demands, I think that the labor unions need to do better, because if you look at the demands that have been put forward, the NLC has not put forward a demand for a reversal, of the subsidy removal. And that is the root of the crisis that we face today. I would like to urge them to reinstate the demand for the reversal of the policy of subsidy removal, and also to include other demands that affect other people in society, including the wave of free equipment that is affecting Nigerians today. Most importantly, to also demand the nationalization of the oil and gas sector under democratic workers' control. I think if these new demands are added, and that becomes a basis for mobilizing for further actions in the next 14 or 21 days, then the compliance can even be more massive than what we have today.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Comrade Hassan Taiwo, Soweto, right there from Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.